Yes, many a times you've heard about this xenophobia. Oh, South Africans, they don't like immigrants or migrants, let's call them, whether legal or illegal. Well, it's not far from the truth. South Africans really have a problem with the foreigners who come to their land. One, you can't actually blame them somehow because uh, many of these South African youths are also unemployed, and therefore the few jobs that are there, you find that those companies are willing to hire somehow sometimes foreigners, leaving vulnerable South Africans jobless. But then Nigerians mainly have a problem with the two main groups, especially people from Zimbabwe and especially also from Nigeria. Nigeria, that's a different topic. But again, let's talk about the Zimbabweans because again, when you go to these mines in South Africa, you'll find many of these Zimbabweans working in those mines, whether legal or illegal mines. Of course, there's this thing called the gold rush, whereby you find many Zimbabweans have swarmed into these mining areas, and of course, they're doing those activities, getting paid. But again, this is now the question here: why is it that South Africa still have a problem with these miners, people who come, to help in doing these mining activities? Well, the question that again, to answer that, we might maybe answer this through a question: are South Africans willing to go through those mines, especially the black South Africans? Are they willing to go dig up those, go under those like 100 feet down to those hot, mining areas? The answer sometimes is yes or no, depending on the people who you ask this question. Because again, Zimbabweans are willing to do this. Even look at the maid business. Maid, I mean the house helps. Apparently there's some claims that over 250,000 Zimbabweans are in this maid business. So probably if you're hiring a maid in South Africa, you are probably hiring a Zimbabwean to help you with your house chores. So it's we can't say that education levels are low in Zimbabwe, and that's why people are not educated to get these high-end jobs. Zimbabweans are as well educated. Apparently, I think also Zimbabwe is one of the one of these countries in Africa with a high literacy level after South Africa and Ghana, of course, and Kenya. Zimbabwe is up there. So again, you realize every year we have this issue, and many times you heard South Africans saying that Zimbabwe feels entitled in South Africa, where they talk about when this issue of illegal migrants in South Africa, this issue comes up. But it's a matter of we need to ask these hard questions: are South Africans willing to do this hard labor, or they just want to work in the offices? Well, Zimbabweans are not afraid to get themselves dirty. And that's why you find them doing all these manual jobs, these all type of jobs, including mining, including cleaning, everything. They're doing it without any problem. And sometimes even go there, work, go back to their country, take some rest, go back again to South Africa. So it's like they're going to take what's in South Africa, and this is the problem that you find South Africans have a problem with. But then, as country like South Africa grows, you realize that also the education level has grown. South Africans have become more enlightened and more, the literacy level is so high, of course, you can't compare South Africa with other African countries. And therefore, everyone who's learned isn't willing to go doing those manual jobs. It's just like, for instance, in Europe, go to the US, we have some jobs that natives of those countries are not willing to do. So South Africans have to come to an understanding that there are some jobs they've gone past. Majority of the population in South Africa, there are some jobs they've gone past, and therefore some of these jobs are just can be done by immigrants, people who come from other countries to come do them. And that's why when you go to the likes of Dubai's, you go to the likes of US, you go to even in Europe, you go to the UK, petrol attendant, you're looking for manual laborer, you're looking for cleaners, you're looking for people who can work in the plantations to pick those cotton wool, to pick all those sort of like fruits, grapes, to pick to even in those cattle rearing farms. So South Africans are not willing to go do those jobs. They want office jobs, and this is why you find now they have a problem with the Zimbabweans. But again, I think proper ways can be done whereby the government can formulate better policies in terms of how to take these seasonal workers. You see, there's something called seasonal visas that they can always issue. They regulate the numbers. They know who is in, who has not gone back, and that can be maybe can bring a better understanding with the population.